Welcome back to another episode of Checking from Behind. I'm Preston alongside Zach. Today is July 13th of recording, and it's officially dead season in the NHL. Not a whole lot of news going around, so we have a couple smaller stories to talk about. We decided we're going to try to have some fun topics today. So, what do you do in July with the NHL? You make playoff predictions, right? So, disclaimer. This is way too early. Do not take these seriously. This is us just guessing based on the moves in free agency and the draft, how we think teams are going to make, what teams we're going to think are going to make the playoffs. We're not going to do the seeding. We're specify wild card. We're not picking a President's Trophy winner as well. So we'll start off with the Eastern Conference. Why don't we do it in this order? So we'll do divisions.
Okay.
Top three in each division. You don't have to pick a winner.
Okay. Just plain three, no order.
No particular order.
Okay. All right,
then we'll do the wild cards. So we'll start off with the Atlantic Division and the Eastern Conference. So we'll do one at a time. So I think the obvious one is probably going to be the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Yeah. Honestly, I think there's three obvious ones in the Atlantic Division.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think the third might be debatable.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
But I think Toronto is one of the locks that will probably be a top three team in the Atlantic Division. They're historically a great regular season team. They have a bit of a new identity now under Craig Berube as their coach. I expect them to be more defensively responsible, play a more physical game, which they need to do if they want to be able to win in the playoffs. Yeah. But, Toronto, sounds like they're running it back with the core four. Mitch Marner's probably going to stay in Toronto. I think he would have got traded by now if he was going to be moved.
I think he would have been traded before the first. Just me.
Yeah, I think he would have got traded around draft time. Goaltending is a question mark for them, but I have no doubt they'll be a playoff team.
I mean, yeah, the Toronto Maple Leafs, they're going to put up another 100. I don't want to make exact predictions now, but I would assume
make
over 100 points.
It's July. Make exact predictions. We want exact. How many wins are they going to have?
Oh, I think 52 wins to be
52? That would be a pretty damn good season.
They might win the President's Trophy with that.
If 52, that would be good.
I feel like the Maple Leafs right now are built to win, and I know that the Leafs fans and everybody to Toronto media has been saying that since 2016,
with the core four that they have, like you have Austin Matthews, Mitch Marner, William Nylander, John Tavares, you have to win. Their cup window has been open for a few years. They have to win.
Joseph Woll is going to be a huge difference in there. I think having Chris Tanev now is going to be great. Now, I don't want to talk about 3-4 years down the line with that horrible 6-year contract for a 34-year-old defenseman. Mm-hmm. But I think the team right now, you have John Tavares for one more year, $11 million. You have Austin Matthews and William Nylander's contract extensions kicking in this season. So, and on top of that, Mitch Marner, it's his last year of his deal. We'll see if they get anything done before the season or if he's going to end up testing the market, they get something done middle of the season, yada, yada, yada. That's a different story. But yeah, I think the Leafs, they are going to push for that number one spot in the Atlantic Division, I believe.
Can see that, yeah.
And who do you have number two?
Well, I think we can also both agree on this is probably a lock for top three in the Atlantic Division.
Are you sure that I know you're
I'm going to say the Florida Panthers.
Boston Bruins.
What? Boston?
I'm not even trolling with this. Well, I wish I was. And hear me out, okay? I think they overpaid for Lindholm, but they got the 1C that they've been desperately looking for. I love Coyle. I love Zacha. Those are like 2B, 3A type of centers, or maybe even 2A. I like Zacha a lot. And then you also look at the defensive core. They have some of the best blue liners in the league.
Yeah, I agree. They have one of the best, probably the blue D-line cores in the league.
You add Nikita Zadorov.
I don't like the contract they give Zadorov. I think they overpaid for a bottom pair defenseman.
I don't think Zadorov is bottom pair. I think he's going to play on that second pairing. Although I know Bruins fans, you guys can vouch for me with this by saying you guys think Mason Lohrei is the next coming of Jesus. I think he's great. I kind of agree with you. I love Mason Lohrei. He's going to make an impact on this Bruins blue line right away. And Parker Witherspoon, I don't know why he couldn't just throw a fucking eye, make a Witherspoon. But I think he's a great seventh defenseman. But like the blue line with McAvoy, Lindholm, Zadorov, Carlo, Peak, and Lohrei, I think that's one of the best in the league, and if they can get some goals from Pastrnak, you're going to get over 100 points. Marchand's getting to that age, but he's still going to be productive for you. You have Pavel Zacha, you have Elias Lindholm, Morgan, like this team, I think, is going to put up a decent amount of goals, more than they did last season. And if you have Jeremy Swayman at the back end, keeping pucks out with that blue line, this team might beat out Florida for that second spot.
I mean, I was gonna have Boston in the top 3. I wasn't gonna have them a lock for a top 3.
Really?
No, I think they're a playoff team no matter what. Yeah, but I thought Florida was going to be an obvious pick to be in the top 3 in the Atlantic. I mean, they did lose some key players in their cup run. You know, you can't keep everybody.
Right.
And, you know, when the cup tax comes, you know, everyone gets paid, and you can't keep everybody. And I thought they made the right decision in keeping Sam Reinhart. You know, I think he has really great chemistry with Alexander Barkov. And I think he took a bit of a discount, I think, to stay with the team. I mean, 8.6 after having 57 goals last year. I think he didn't have a great playoff, but, you know, he scored the game-winning goal for the Stanley Cup final. So that makes up for it. And I really I'm glad I like the contract they gave Anton Lundell, really underrated center. I think, you know, he got a little bit more fame in the playoffs for how well he played. But, you know, Florida's a team where I don't know if I don't think they're going to go back-to-back in a cup run, but I think they make smart, calculated moves. Their core top 6 hasn't really changed much, and I think they're definitely going to be a playoff team next year, no matter what. And I have them as a lock for top 3 in the Atlantic. And we're not going to pick division winners right now, but it wouldn't shock me if they won the Atlantic again.
Real quick before we move on to number 3, speaking on the Panthers, I do like that they lost Montour. Seattle overpaid for him, in my opinion. Florida gladly let him walk.
Oh, I mean, it was always between Montour and Reinhart, and I think they made the right choice.
Yes, they did. And then OEL leaves, but then Nate Schmidt and Boquist both get bought out, and you have budget signings to replace you.
Well, Boquist they're taking a chance at. You know, he's 23 years old. You know, he was a top prospect at one point. Came over to Columbus, and that Seth Jones trade is a highly coveted player. Didn't work out there. You know, he's going to get a chance to kind of renew his career and, you know, maybe get himself a new big contract. And Schmidt is just a good veteran signing, good reliable defenseman, probably play on the bottom pair, very physical.
I love it. I love it. And my third team is going to be the Florida Panthers. I think the top 3 teams that I listed are 3 locks. I think that is going to be the top 3. And I don't want to say it's necessarily not close, but I don't think it's really close. I think the gap between the top 3 teams and 4 and 5 is like kind of massive.
I think you could throw Tampa Bay in that conversation.
Could you though? Can you though?
I think you can. I didn't feel comfortable putting in the top 3, but it wouldn't shock me if they ended up being like the number 3 seed in the Atlantic Division come playoff time. But let's move on to the Metropolitan Division. So I think our answers are pretty much going to be the same here. I mean,
are we sure about that?
I mean, let's start with the first one, the New York Rangers.
New Jersey Devils.
Well, we're both going to have the Rangers and the Devils.
Yes, we are.
Let's talk about the Rangers first. So the Rangers didn't really make too many changes going into this season. They didn't have a lot of money to spend, so they weren't very active in free agency as expected. Didn't really have any major losses to their team. So they're pretty much running it back. I mean, the big rumor out on the street now is they're looking to trade Jacob Trouba. You know, we'll see if that happens. You know, try to free up some cap space. You know, they got to pay some players going forward. Lafreniere is about to get a bag. You know, he's an RFA after this year. You know, he's earned a quite significant pay raise, in my opinion. They did add Riley Smith from Pittsburgh as well. I forgot about that. I think that's a good pickup. But the Rangers, you know, they won the President's Trophy last year. They ran into a really strong defensive team in Florida in the conference final. They couldn't really solve Bobrovsky. It wouldn't shock me again if they won the Metropolitan again. I still think they're one of the best teams in the NHL.
Yeah, I agree. I think, like, from on paper standpoint, the Rangers have a pretty good shot at repeating. I believe they are favorites per Vegas right now, the betting odds to win the Metro. It's like a slim one, but they're still favorites right now. And if the Rangers go out and put up a season like they did last season with the same group, would I be shocked? Absolutely not. They're going to be a top 3 team, top 2 team in the Metro at that.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I don't want to speak anything into existence, but a lot of bad things have to happen to the Rangers in order for them to not be in the top 2.
I think only one bad thing has to happen.
Igor gets. I'm not gonna say no. I'm not gonna speak into that. Are we thinking the same thing?
Yeah, that's the only. I think that's the only thing that could derail their season.
Yes. Okay.
If anything happens to him, they're fucked.
Yes, I agree. Okay. All right. So glad we Can agree on that. And then the second team we have are the Devils.
Yeah, I think they had a really good free agency. Last year, the Devils just ran into a lot of bad luck and some poor decisions by their manager, specifically in the goaltending department. They have addressed that in a big way, bringing in Jacob Markstrom. I really love the signing of Brett Pesce, really underrated defenseman, in my opinion. And 5.5, I think that's a very fair contract. If this Devils team is healthy for all year, they're going to be one of the best teams in the league.
I agree. I'm jumping on the Devils bandwagon now. First off, I want to say for you new viewers, is like every single season I jump on one team's bandwagon, it's legitimately only for one season. I don't know why. Like last season, it was Dallas. The year before, it was Carolina. I have no fucking explanation.
Apparently you were so hard on the Dallas bandwagon, you dropped like $300 on a jersey. You have to get tickets to the Sabres Stars game and
I'm
wear
going
that jersey.
to. You know what? I will. Listen, I will root for Dallas. Anyways, back to the Devils. So, I think the Devils, I know I just stated earlier when we went over this that I have them winning the Metro, but if it's the Rangers and the Devils are two again,
I still think the Rangers are better than the Devils.
You think they're better?
Yeah.
I think it's like neck and neck because if the Rangers finish with like let's say 111 points hypothetically, the Devils are going to be right on their ass if they're not in front of them. I don't think the Devils are a 115 point team. So if the Rangers can replicate what they did last season with Igor playing, I mean he started off the season horribly from the All-Star break.
The thing the Rangers have over every other team in the league is I think they have the best goalie in the NHL.
Oh, easily.
I know Igor didn't win the Vezina. Connor Hellebuyck did have a great year, but I think like when Shesterkin is on his game, I don't think there's any goalie in the NHL better than him.
Yes. I mean, bro, single-handedly, beat Carolina for them?
He carried. Even in the conference final, he was playing out of his mind. The Rangers just couldn't score.
They couldn't score. It's the Devils and Rangers. And then number 3, are we set on?
I think we're agreeing on this
Hurricanes?
as well. Yeah, the Carolina Hurricanes. They're a team that kind of they weren't going to really get better in free agency. They were kind of cap strapped. They went all in last year. Didn't end up working out. They made a couple of additions. Just looking through their team. Shout out cap wages. RIP cap friendly. You will be missed. They bring in Jack Roslovic, who I think is a good two-way player, good bottom six center. Mm-hmm. I think he was really good for the Rangers last year in their playoff run. Tyson Jost comes in on a league minimum contract, and they are bringing Shane Gostisbehere as well to help run that power play 2 unit, and Sean Walker on defense as they lose Brett Pesce in free agency. Carolina is an interesting team to me because, on paper, they should be a good team. They're historically, like last few years, have been a great regular season team. They just can't get it done in the playoffs. They just can't get over that hump. Mm-hmm. When they do make it to the conference final, they get swept, or they lose in the second round. That they have an interesting team. I don't know. I really don't have a lot to say about them. They just have to prove that they can, win. The most interesting thing to me is the Mark Nakish situation because, he's still unsigned. He's still RFA. I believe, did he file for arbitration? I believe he did.
He might have.
I believe he did. They still have to sign Seth Jarvis as well. So everyone was saying, they're going to trade Nakish. They're going to trade him. They're going to trade him. They still haven't traded him. I think the best time to trade him would have been at the draft.
I honestly thought he was going to get traded at the draft. There were talks that he could be dealt at the draft.
It sounds like Carolina has a very high asking price for him.
Don't they want they wanted before the draft, they wanted a first round pick and a prospect or NHL ready player, something crazy like that.
I mean, Seth Jarvis is probably going to get, I'm interested to see if they give him a bridge deal or a long-term deal.
If I'm Carolina, I think I try to give him a long-term deal because I think this player's going to get better.
I mean,
if you give him a 3-year, $5 million contract and he keeps developing the way he is, by the time the 3 years is over, he's either going to hit the open market. I think he might be a UFA after 3 years.
So if he sends a 3-year contract, he'd still be an RFA.
Okay, all right.
I think you keep their RFA rights till they're 26 or 27.
Okay, all right.
So 3 years would walk him to his last contract before he would be a UFA.
So if you're Jarvis, you go in that and be like, I want 4 years. So then when that ups, if
I'm the player, yes, I want a short-term deal.
If you're the player, if you're Seth Jarvis, I would go 4 years off of that, and then go right into the UFA and see if you want to test the market or stay with Carolina, Or if I'm Carolina, either give him a long-term deal, 7-year deal, or I'm like 3 years. We'll still have your rights for one more year. But Jarvis and his party won't like that. They'll be like, either walk me right into test the open market for years, or give me a
I don't
long-term
think
deal.
they'll do that. I think if they did a bridge deal like $4 or $5 million a year, maybe even 6, get him to age 25. Well, he'll be an RFA again. That's Seth Jarvis making a bet on himself. It's like, okay, I'm going to get a good pay raise for the next 3 years, and I'm betting that I'm going to outperform that contract and become like an $8 million, $9 million player in the league. If you're Carolina, it's like, okay, we'll offer you an 8-year deal, $6.5 million a year. Like, that's a great team-friendly deal. Seth Jarvis is like, no, I'm not taking that. That's what Austin Matthews does. He takes shorter-term deals for a shitload of money. And then every few years, he just gets paid even more. He resets the market every year. I see 8-year deals kind of going away. I think players are going to start taking them less and less, especially for the higher-end players.
Yeah, I've noticed with like players taking longer-term deals, they're usually like 28, 29, or 30, getting closer to that 30 range. Like, you don't see really many players between the ages of like 22 to like 25, 26 taking those 6, 7, 8-year deals.
But there's also not a lot of players that I think a team would feel comfortable giving them an 8-year contract.
You have to be like superstar.
Yeah, like sometimes like New Jersey and Montreal, they got ahead of it. They paid Jack. I remember when they signed Jack Hughes to that 8-year contract, I was like, you're paying him that much already? Like, he hasn't proven anything. And then he had like a 99-point season.
What's going to happen with Slav?
Yeah, it's like they're taking that bet with Slavkovsky as well in Montreal, where like it's like, okay, we're going to sign you the long-term deal now because we know what you can be in the future. And, if you become what we think you're going to become, you're saving us money, and we could be a more competitive team in the future and bring in more players. So it's an interesting situation with Carolina, but I think we talked about them for long enough. So I think we should move on to our wild card teams. Now, this is I have a feelings where we're probably going to be pretty different. I think we might agree on one of them, and the second one, I feel like
one's going to be iffy.
So,
there's a bunch of teams.
Let's talk about the wild card team. I think we're going to agree on Tampa Bay.
Yes, I have Tampa.
Tampa Bay, I think their Stanley Cup window is pretty much shut. They might have extended it a little bit further by bringing in Jake Gensel. But this is a team I can't see them winning the cup this year. They're good enough to be a playoff team, absolutely. With their top end talent. You have Kucherov, Brandon Point, Jake Gensel. That's a scary top line right
Disgusting.
there. That's scary. You have a really good second line. Hagel, Chiarelli, Nicholas Paul. They bring in a couple. They bring in Zemgus Girgensson, a bruiser, play on that fourth line. Defenseman wise, extend Victor Hedman, bring back Ryan McDonough, and they still have Andrei Vasilevsky, who I think had a down year last year, and I think he's going to be looking to bounce back. But unless worst case scenario happens, where like a bunch of their top end players get hurt, that they should be a wild card team lock for sure, in my opinion.
I think Tampa Bay is a wild card lock. I think they'll be around that 95 to 98 point range. However, though, there's two things that I don't mean to be negative. There's two things that can concern me about the Tampa Bay Lightning. It's going to be Andrei Vasilevsky will never be the same after that hip surgery he had, and he's going to continue his shaky play into this season, or he's going to return to I get a full summer of training, I get a full summer of rest, now I can go back into my normal routine. He finally got the rest after going to 3 straight Stanley Cups, and so then he'll be back to his normal top 3 self. And the second thing is the depth on Tampa Bay isn't great. Outside of your top 6, it's a huge drop off dramatically. But
that top line's going to be so lethal.
Their power play will be one of the best in the league again. The top 6 can carry them, and if Andrei Vasilevsky can get back to even above average play, they'll be okay. Like, that's why I think they'll make the playoffs. And even
I still can't see them winning a playoff series next year. I think there'd be a first round exit again.
Everything would have to go right for them to win a playoff series. Now, am I saying that they have absolutely no chance to win one? No, I would be kind of like 65-35 in favor of being shocked if Tampa Bay ended up winning a playoff series next season.
I'd be surprised if they won a playoff series next season.
For sure.
Now let's move on to Eastern Conference Wild Card 2.
This is tough.
I feel like there's a few teams you could throw into this discussion. The Islanders, Pittsburgh. I'm going to include Buffalo in that conversation.
Wow, okay.
Maybe Ottawa. I feel like the Washington. I think got better in free agency and through the draft as well. And
I think there's only 3 teams in the East you can include, and that's Montreal, Columbus, and Philly.
yeah, I agree with you.
This is tough.
I'm gonna go out on a limb because I'm gonna pick the Buffalo Sabres.
Oh my God.
I don't think there's
Interesting.
more pressure on any other team in the league except for maybe the Edmonton Oilers to make the playoffs this year. I mean, the pressure on the Oilers is to win the Stanley Cup. This is the last year of Leon Draisaitl's contract. They gotta win, but we'll get to that later. But Buffalo, I really think the future of the franchise might be in jeopardy if they do not make the playoffs this year. Buffalo probably mortgaged some of their future to get players to help them better now. I think their top 6 got a lot better, a lot faster, a lot more physical, which is a big weak spot
the
for
bottom
them.
6?
Yeah, I said bottom 6.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you said top.
No, the top 6 is
Yeah.
pretty much. I still think they need to add a top 6 swinger. You never know, but that blue line is there's rumors that they're very interested in Jacob Trouba, and those rumors have not been going away.
Nope. And I'm honestly, if we go out and get Trouba, I would not be happy.
I wouldn't. It depends what we'd have to give up to get him.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point.
Like if we're giving up like a top prospect and a pick and yada yada yada, I don't know. We'll see, but I think the time is now for this team, especially with how much better their bottom 6 got. Their problem was they couldn't defend leads. This bottom 6 will help them defend leads a lot better. I think Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen and Devin Levi are going to be a really great tandem, and James Reimer I thought was a solid veteran backup signing, but call me crazy, call me a stupid fan because I am a Buffalo Sabres fan, but I feel like the time is now. They have to end this drought. They just have to get in. They don't have to do anything. They can get swept. They just have to make it the playoffs.
I think their forwards are going to score. I think
Dylan Cousins will have a bounce back season. So will Tage.
Yes, I agree. And I think Zach Benson's going to take another step. Jacqueline will be fine. But the one thing is blue line, because outside of Dahlin, their blue line is really hit or miss. Like, we need another step from Owen Power. Bowen Byram, same thing. He struggled towards the end, but I think he'll be all right.
I think that's why they're exploring a Jacob Trouba trade, because with Trouba, you know exactly what you're getting, and he's a captain.
Like we saw the top 6, it's all Lindy Ruff. This Trouba shit is gonna be all Lindy Ruff. Lindy Ruff. Wants to get faster.
We're not. I still don't think Trouba ends up coming to Buffalo.
I don't think he even gets traded. That's just me, though.
It sounds like the Rangers are pretty dead set on trading him.
They want to trade him, but I don't know. Now, I don't know if it's true or not, but apparently he's saying no to any trades right now is because his wife's still in medical school or something along those lines.
Well, I heard that he might be willing to waive it to come to Buffalo.
Okay.
I heard he did not wait. I heard they had a deal pretty far along in Detroit, and he axed
They
it.
were almost done with it. It was pretty much set in stone.
Yeah, they wanted to ask him to waive his no trade clause, and he said no.
I love it how I don't mean to get off topic here because I have to get into my team. But yeah, with Trouba, it's like Rangers fans are acting like this dude's public enemy number 1. It's like
he never asked for a trade. He never asked for anything.
The Rangers came to him, and he has the right to say yes or no to a trade because
they gave him that in that contract. That's what they decided to give him. He's just exercising his right in his contract.
And like the people that are saying, "Oh, this is all buddy. Why is Drew keeping Trouba?" He has no fucking choice. Anyways, so I'm kind of going back and forth between Detroit, between Buffalo, between Pittsburgh.
I forgot about Detroit, yeah.
I want to go Detroit because they were. If it wasn't for Dylan Larkin, if it wasn't for Dylan Larkin being hurt for like 2-3 straight weeks, it would have made the playoffs.
I really don't like that, though. You can't have that big of collapse and you lose one player.
I totally agree with you. And the one thing that's keeping me is that. And outside of Mo Seider, your defense might be the worst. I do not like their.
I mean, they're pretty old. You got Justin Holl.
You're telling me you couldn't trade Justin Holl to the Sharks for a fucking future considerations like Wallman?
They probably don't want him.
Just get 50. Just get him off the team.
And he also has a fucking modified no trade clause.
Just buy Justin Holl out.
He has a 10-team no trade. No, they're not buying him out.
I would have rather bought out Justin Holl and kept Wallman for honest production. What is Justin Holl going to do? Sit there at the post and let some dude go backdoor and score? Like, okay, I don't mean to shit on Justin Holl too much. It's not his fault he fucking sucks. It's the Red Wings' fault for signing him for $3.4 million. I don't even know how long the contract was. I don't really give a fuck, to be honest with you. But, like, Ben Sherratt, Justin Hall, Oli Mata, Jeff Petrie, Eric Gustafson, William Lagesson, who's a 7th defenseman. Oh, right now, I think they have, 6th? No, that it would be their 7th defenseman.
Yeah, Sider has not been signed
He's still
yet.
an RFA. Lucas Raymond hasn't been signed yet. He's still an RFA. So a lot of question marks with Detroit. That's why I'm hesitant to go with Detroit.
Yeah, I mean, I think their forward group is really good. I think they have a really good forward group. Obviously, they're going to get Raymond signed.
They're going to
Dylan
score.
Larkin, Alex DeBrincat, Andrew Kopp, JT Comfort. They add Tarasenko. They'll bring back Patrick Kane. I think they have a really solid forward group. Their defense is what scares me.
Oh, dude, this is
and
tough.
Goaltending is a question mark for them as well.
This is tough. This is really tough. Give it to me, Washington. You're going to the fucking playoffs again. This was the last time. I honestly didn't even have them. This is why, okay? Buffalo, I had them finishing top 3 in the division or wild card something. I had them going to the playoffs last season. We're not taking that risk again, okay? I'm not ready to be let down. Washington, okay? You go out. I have high hopes for PLD to be your second center. You trade for Jacob Trouba, which is going to be great.
They didn't trade for Jacob Trouba.
I'm sorry, Jacob Chikrin, my bad.
Okay.
Andrew Mangiapane, you go out and get a trade. Connor McMichael, I think, might have a breakout season. 45 points, thank you very much. And Ovi's going to probably put up 25 goals
again. The thing with the Capitals is I don't think Ovi gives a fuck in the playoffs anymore.
And you added Matt Waugh. But I don't think Ovi gives a fuck in the playoffs after he got his cup anyways. But the one thing that made me pick them over the Red Wings, strictly goaltending. You go out, you get Logan Thompson. You still have Charlie Lindgren, who was the sole reason on why you guys got into the playoffs last season. I think this is going to be a really good tandem. Like, I truly do. I think this is not going to be a 1 and 2 star. This is going to be like a 1A, a 1B type of tandem. I think it's going to be like almost maybe a 45 to 38 split. I really hope I did the math right. But it's going to be like a 55-45 split in favor of one or the two goaltenders. And I really hope the Capitals do a thing where they ride the hot hand. It's like, okay, well, you allowed 2 goals against the one game. We won 5-2. You had a 940 save percentage. All right, you're playing in 2 nights when we play again. I really hope it's like that type of thing where it's ride the hot hand. But also, you don't want to be like, well, a goalie, or for example, let's say Charlie Lindgren gives up 4 goals on like 18 shots and they lose 4-2, whatever. That doesn't mean don't play him the next game. Like if Logan Thompson played the previous 4 or 5, like give him another shot. You don't want to ruin the goalie's confidence. So I think it's going to be more of a split type of thing with Washington, and they can get into the playoffs with 93, 94 points.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're a mid team.
Oh, you know what? It's okay. I can see that.
Okay, let's move on to the Western Conference. So we're going to start off with the Pacific Division. So the Pacific Division, I think there's at least 2 locks. The third one, I think, is very much up for debate. Mm-hmm. But let's start with the obvious one, the Edmonton Oilers.
Yes, easy.
Stanley Cup runner-up. They lost Game 7 by 1 goal. I think they are going to be out for blood next year. You know, this is the last year of Leon Draisaitl's contract. I will be very interested to see if they get an extension done. I don't know how they can afford to keep Leon and McDavid.
They have 6.2 in cap space as of right now per cap wages.
Yeah, but they got to get creative down the future because Draisaitl he's worth like $11-12 million a year. You know, 8.5 right now for him is a steal. And then you got to pay McDavid a year later.
Can you scroll down to defense real quick?
Yeah.
All right, this is where you have to make something work, okay? The only thing holding back the Edmonton Oilers from keeping both McDavid and Draisaitl, the $13+ million deals, whatever they are, is Darnell fucking Nurse.
That contract's unmovable.
I know it's unmovable. Okay, this is strictly the Darnell Nurse right here, okay? So the Oilers can't afford, like, you look at every other contract outside of, like, Nurse and Ekholm is, like, under $4 million on their decor. And you look at the forward wides, you have Zach Hyman making $5 million. Well, 5.5. You have Ryan Nugent-Hopkins making 5.1. And there's a lot of guys making $1.5, $3 million on the forward core. And then you have Connor McDavid. And Draisaitl is going to make, whatever, 13+, 14+.
Problem is they got to pay Bouchard, too.
Exactly. So Darnell Nurse, this one's for you, okay?
Yeah,
you can't become the defenseman that's worth 9.5, or you fucking retire. Like, there's just going to be 2 options here. Take one for the team.
He does have one Well, when does his no movement clause kick in?
Um,
Starting on
June 1st,
no. He has a full no movement clause right now on June 1st, 2027. He submits a 10-team no trade list.
Well, guess you can. I mean, no team's even going to take on the 9.25.
Oh, you'd have to give up like a first round pick and like a top prospect just to unload the contract.
Well, Edmonton, it's been fun.
No, they're all in this year. They're all in.
I think they know like they have to win the cup this season.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's part of like they have to unload some salary. I honestly love the Matt Savoy trade for Edmonton. Their prospect pool is so depleted. You get rid of some salary with McLeod, bring in a prospect that's going to be very cheap and affordable in the next few years. Now, do I think he's going to be on the roster this season? No, but down the line though, in the future, like he's going to be fine for them.
Yeah. Okay, and let's move on to our second Western Conference team in the Pacific. I have the Vancouver Canucks.
Yes, sir. Same here.
They were kind of a shock to the world last year with how good they were out of the gate. Now, I do think losing Zadorov and Lindholm hurts. I think Lindholm was very good for the Canucks in the playoffs. Really good second-line center, especially when Pettersson disappeared.
Yeah.
They can't have Pettersson disappear right now, and I think Brock Besser getting hurt for Game 7 hurt a lot.
It killed them.
Yeah. But Vancouver, I think, is a very well-coached team. Even with the losses they had on defense, they ended up giving Filip Hronek a long-term contract. They bring back Tyler Myers, Carson Soucy, Quinn Hughes, wins the Norris. I don't know if he still needs to work on his defensive game, in my opinion. I think he got a lot better. I think he won the Norris last year for his offensive output.
Yeah, for sure.
But, if Thatcher Demko can stay healthy, which... shout out to Vasilov. I thought he played his heart out in the playoffs. I think he gave the Canucks a chance. It wasn't really his fault at all that
exactly.
Some of their top players disappeared and then Besser got hurt. Mm-hmm. Given the situation they had, I thought Silovs played very well, and I think he has a decent chance to be. He should be the backup next year.
Oh, he will be.
Demko. But,
I mean, he won that backup job in the playoffs.
Yeah, he played very well. I think that's why they let. Was it Casey DeSmith?
Yeah.
That's why they let him walk.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so the third team in the Pacific, that's where it's going to be interesting because for me, I think it's really only two teams in that conversation.
That is?
Vegas and LA.
This one sucks because
I think Vegas got substantially worse over the summer.
They might have gotten the worst out of any team in the league.
I mean, everyone knew it was coming. You're right up against the cap. You're going to lose good players, but I think just based on that, I'm going to have my third Pacific team be the Los Angeles Kings. I think unloading that Pierre-Luc Dubois contract will do wonders for that team and morale in the locker room.
Oh, my God. Okay, so I love you, LA. Okay, you guys are okay. I actually like the new switches that you guys did this offseason with the Ducks. Better than the Ducks, by the way. However, though, I disagree. I think it's still going to be Vegas. I know I've shit on Vegas for how many players they've lost, 5 or 6, whatever it was. Very important players to your roster. Trey Logan Thompson, Aiden Hill is a bona fide number 1 starter.
And their backup Samsonov, so you better freaking hurt. Hope Aiden Hill doesn't get hurt.
However, though, yeah, that's the one thing. If Aiden Hill goes down for a couple months again, Vegas is fucked. But my thing is that their top guns are still so good compared to LA.
They have a good top 6, but losing Stevenson
lost a ton of depth.
and Marchessault hurts a lot. I mean, Eichel, I think, has been everything they wanted him to be when he came over from Buffalo. Mark Stone has to stay healthy. He has to be healthy this year.
I don't think you're going to see him on LTIR this season.
I mean, I get that everyone, unless you're a Vegas fan, you probably hate Vegas. I get, they're the villains of the NHL right now. Every year, just conveniently, Mark Stone gets hurt right around the trade deadline. They put him LTIR, and they go get the top dog in the trade market, like they did last year with Hannafin. But
this is.
I don't think Mark Stone willingly injures himself so he doesn't. So he can they can circumnavigate the cap. I think that's bullshit. Now that they lost Stevenson and Marchessault, they need Mark Stone. They need him.
Yeah, and I still like Vegas's defense too. I think it's going to be strong. I like their forwards. Defensively, Noah Hannafin, Shea Theodore, Braden McMet, Braden McNabb, Zach Whitecloud, Nicholas Haig. Like, I like that.
I don't like their goalie situation, though. I really don't like
I'm
it.
fine with that. Like, I'm completely
Aiden Hill,
fine
I
with
thought
that.
was great to start last season. Then he got injured, and he didn't really look great coming back. He was pretty okay for them in the playoffs, but you lose Thompson, which I think is a pretty solid backup. Would be a solid backup there. You bring in Samsonov, who had to literally sprint out of Toronto.
Yeah.
Everyone probably wanted to kill him. But
although he did keep them in Game 7, and I mean, at that point, like, it wasn't Samsonov's fault. But that's the reason why, like, Samsonov will be good. Like, we saw it in Washington too. Can you bring up his stats real quick?
Samsonov, they don't. For some reason on the site, they don't have goalie stats. They just have freaking player stats. Like, he had an assist last year.
I'm gonna look up his stats real quick because I want to see how he was in Washington because I think he was a backup.
No, he was Washington, he played 44 games, so he played about half the year.
Ilya Samsonov stats.
I think
I did not know he won 11 consecutive games from November 30th, 2019 to January 31st, 2020. Anyways, that's besides the point. All right, let's see. Samsonov, I'm bringing him up right now. Okay, I don't know why. Okay, let's accept all the cookies here. All right, so Washington. He was... Okay, so this is what I'm talking about, okay? So in 2019-20, he had 26 games played. He was a backup. He went 16, 6 and 2, had a 255 and 913. And then 2021, he had 19 games played, went 13, 4 and 1, a 269, 902. He goes over to be the starter in 21-22 and 44 games played. It was more like a split, but 44 games played. 23, 12, and 5, not bad. But he had a 302 and 896. And then in 22, 23, and 42 games with the Leafs, he had a 233 and 919. So Samsonov's inconsistent. Or you get the Samsonov where he's going to put up a save percentage like 905, 910. Or are you going to get a Samsonov where it's like he's going to play 25, 30 games, but he's going to put up a 3 goals against in like 895.
I will say, if going from Toronto to Vegas, he's going to have a much better defensive structure in front of him. He'll probably face less shots. So
I mean, that could be a thing too where he his stats are going to be better. He's going to look like a better goaltender because the structure of Vegas is so well built, like defensively wise.
Okay, well, let's move on to the Central Division. Now,
I love this division.
I think all three of the teams we're about to list, I think, are all locks for the top three.
Let me think real quick.
So I think there's two pretty obvious ones, and the third one I think became obvious a couple weeks ago.
Interesting. Okay.
So I have Dallas being obvious.
Same team, basically.
I think they're one of the most smartly built teams in the league. They have a really good mix of young players, old players. I think Wyatt Johnston's going to be a superstar. Mm-hmm. Look for Jake Ottinger to play a little bit more consistently next year. That's what killed him last year. He was inconsistent. And I didn't think he played great in the playoffs for the most part.
I thought he played he started off the playoffs horribly, and then he had a stretch of games where he was
really good, like the last three games against Vegas.
Like the Western semis against Colorado, he was kind of shaky, but he still
I don't
played
think he played well in the Western Conference final.
I think the finals though he wasn't great.
Yeah,
at least the last couple games. I thought early games 2 and 3 he was good. It was Dallas could get past Edmonton, and then games 4 to 6 happened. It's like, what the fuck happened? Like, they just got tired.
Yeah, and then the other team I think will be a lock for the top 3 is Colorado. I still don't think they're going anywhere. I don't know. I still think they're one of the better teams in the league. I mean, Gabriel Landeskog's coming back. We'll see if he looks like himself. They still have Cale Makar, Devin Taves, which I think is the best tandem in the league. Nathan McKinnon, MVP Nathan McKinnon, Mikko Rantanen, Casey Middlestat, Arturi Lehkonen. They have a really smartly built team. We'll also see if Valeri Nichushkin can come back. I know he's indefinitely suspended, right?
Yeah.
So I'm sure.
I think he's suspended for like the first 15 or 16 games minimum, and even that's not set in stone.
He has to apply for reinstatement to be back.
So
it's
the league. Minimum like 15, 16.
I think he'll come back after he gets the help he needs, but I still think Colorado's a top team in the league, despite their goaltending.
You know what? I'm looking at this Central Division standings right now. I think they will be number 2.
Their superstars are so good they can carry this team.
Yeah, for sure. You know what? Yeah, I'm with you. Colorado here.
And then the third team I have in the Central, which I think is a lock, is the Nashville Predators.
I agree. I have them number third to be exact. Not going to get too deep into that. But I do think they are being kind of overrated. I'm not going to hate on the Predators because they are a certified top 3 in the Central. But can people press the brakes a little bit and stop calling them a Stanley Cup contender, please? I want to see this team on the fucking ice before we do that.
I mean,
Thank you very
they
much.
won the offseason. I will say that.
They did.
They won the offseason.
They did win the offseason for sure. I think it's Nashville, New Jersey are 1 and 2. New Jersey's number. No, I'm just playing.
So let's quickly do. We've been doing this for a long time now. So let's move on to the wild card picks. Now, I think this is a bit interesting. I mean, you picked Vegas for the top 3 in the Central. I mean, the Pacific.
Yes,
I picked LA. So I'm going to pick Vegas as a wild card team.
Interesting.
I still
Okay.
think they're good enough to be a playoff team, barring a lot of injuries.
Interesting. My first wild card team. I have both of them coming from the Central. So LA, I'm sorry, you guys are just
Oh,
missing.
you don't even think they're going to make the playoffs?
Nope, they're going to be the first team out. I think they'll be the 9th seed.
Okay.
Anyways, I have St. Louis as the number 1.
Okay, that's a hot take, I think.
Now, I don't want to be biased here because my second team is a rival of St. Louis, at least in the past. I don't like St. Louis's core, but they had defensive core right now, one of the oldest in the league, but they still have Bennington who had a good season. They had 92 points last season. I think they will get into the playoffs with 94, 95. Now, if they're wild card 2, like, by all means, like, I'll still take that. Like, they are going to get in as a wild card. Wild card 1 might be a little bit controversial. But the second team that I have, Minnesota, I think is going to be Minnesota.
That is a hot take.
Minnesota had a down season. We are going to see Minnesota on the come up here, okay? Kirill
I think
Kaprizov.
they're getting better. I still think they're being held back by Parise and Studios buyouts. I think really next year is when they're really going to emerge. Not
Philip Gustafson will have a .920 save percentage. And
damn, this dude's just like fucking on fire right now. Jeez, hot take, hot take, hot take. So you don't have the Jets making the playoffs either.
Oh, I fucking forgot about that.
So you think the Blues? No, you said it. So you think the Blues and the Wild are going to be playoff teams?
I scratched that. The Blues, get the fuck out of here. We're putting Winnipeg in. I forgot about the Jets. Connor Hellebuck is too good. That team is too good. I'm looking at it right now, and it's like Winnipeg is going to be the wild card 1 team. I'm sorry, Winnipeg. I totally forgot about you guys. There's probably some Winnipeg Jets. Oh, we have Connor Hellebuck. Yeah, get the fuck out of here. Yeah, I think it's Winnipeg, and I mean, I'm going back and forth on St. Louis and Minnesota.
That's wild that you even talking about St. Louis and Minnesota.
Who else would I put in LA? Like,
yeah, LA's a playoff team. I have my other wild card team being the Winnipeg Jets.
Okay.
I didn't forget about them. Connor Hellebuck is one of the best regular season goalies in the league. He still has to prove that he can perform in the playoffs. But I have Winnipeg making the playoffs. Would it shock me if they're in the top 3 in the Central? No. But I think they're definitely a playoff team.
Is there a chance where we see? So you just said it would be shocked if you wouldn't be shocked if Winnipeg was in the top 3. Would you be shocked though if Winnipeg's in the top 3? However, though, Colorado is the 1 team to fall out, or would it be that would be a shock? So like if
I had to pick the team to fall out of the 3 I picked, even though I said they were a lock, it would be Nashville.
Okay, I can kind of get with that. For you Spotify and Apple listeners, I'm going to head over to YouTube if you want a visual. I'm going to paste teams up that I put. So the players that are already confirmed, I have them highlighted in yellow. It's Austin Matthews, Matthew Tkachuk, Jack Eichel, Adam Fox, Quinn Hughes, and Charlie McAvoy, the top 6 for Team USA. The lines that I have put together, Austin Matthews, Brady Tkachuk, Matthew Tkachuk, Jason Robertson, Jack Hughes, Clayton Keller, Tage Thompson, Jack Eichel, and Jake Gensel, and then Kyle Connor, Dylan Larkin, JT Miller, with the extra being DeBrincat. And then Jacob Slavin, Adam Fox for deep pairing 1. 2 is going to be Hughes and McAvoy. 3, Hannafin, Favor, and then Zach Werenski is the extra. Goaltenders, Hellebuck, Swayman, and Ottinger. I was going between Ottinger and Demko.
I think Ottinger, is probably on the team over Demko.
There's one.
Ottinger's more proven.
And also, I was really going over whether I should throw Kane on it, but I was like, I don't know. I mean, he still had 47 points in 50 games last season, but
I don't know. I wouldn't rule out having Patrick Kane on the team.
No, I wouldn't either.
Do they only carry one extra forward, one extra defenseman?
I just did that. I just did the roster size. I just did a 1-on-1 each. It could be 8 and 6 for all whatever.
Yeah,
but
I don't know. I mean, I think for most of the players, the one player I wouldn't be shocked to see might be not making the team is Tage Thompson.
yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you.
So we'll see. I mean, I think this is a pretty solid list. I will say, I think Team USA has such a big advantage in goaltending. They have 3 elite goalies. I think the best team in this tournament will probably be Canada. But if USA wants to beat Canada, they have the goaltenders to do it.
Easily. Speaking of Canada,
This team, man.
What's that? It's gross. I mean, you have McDavid, McKinnon, Crosby, Braden Point, Brad Marchand, and Cale Makar, already the 6 players that are guaranteed to be on the team. Zach Hyman, McDavid, Mitch Marner, Robert Thomas, Nathan McKinnon, Sam Reinhart. You have Stamkos, Crosby, Bedard, Brad Marchand, Braden Point, Jonathan Marchessault with Matthew Barzal as the extra. And then defensively, you have Cale Makar, Evan Bouchard, Josh Morrissey, Noah Dobson, Devin Taves, Dougie Hamilton, Vince Dunn as the extra. The goaltending, Aiden Hill, Stuart Skinner, Connor Ingram. I feel so bad for leaving Jordan Binnington off this list, but it had to be done.
I think Binnington was on there over Ingram.
I think Ingram's going to have a good season because all these rosters aren't going to be picked until December. If Connor Ingram...
They got to pick him soon, though. They can't just pick him like a week before.
No, of course. I
think they'd probably get named before the season starts.
I don't know. They're going to be sometime in December.
I don't know. We'll see. I think Binnington will be on the team. I don't think Connor Ingram will.
Wouldn't be shocked if it's
And I think the starter is going to be Stuart Skinner.
I can kind of get with that. For me, it's like a toss-up between Hill and Skinner. Like, if Skinner or Hill comes out and they're the starter, it's I'm not surprised. Now, if Binnington makes the roster instead of Ingram, or if Ingram makes it, or if it's some other goaltender out of the blue, it's they're the starters. What the fuck are we doing here, Canada? Unless they're having a ridiculous season, but that's just me. But I feel like forward-wise, they're completely stacked, but goaltending-wise is the one disadvantage they have over any other team here.
Yeah, I think they might have the weakest starting goaltender in the tournament.
Yeah.
Let's move on to Team Sweden.
So, we have Forsberg, Nylander, and Zibanejad, the 3 forwards that are guaranteed.
William Nylander.
Yes, William Nylander, not Alex. I just want to clarify. Victor Hedman, Erik Karlsson, and Gustav Forsling. And then my lines are going to be Philip Forsberg, Elias Pettersson, Jesper Bratt, William Nylander, Mika Zibanejad, Lucas Raymond, William Karlsson, Elias Lindholm, and Gustav Nyquist, William Eklund, Joel Eriksson Ek, and Adrian Kempe, with Leo Carlson as the extra.
You think they take the 2 young players?
By the way, I spelled Leo Carlson's name wrong. It's with the C, not a K. Ignore that.
I'm pretty sure you spelled Adrian wrong as well.
Did I not spell Adrian right? No, I'm fucking dyslexic. Victor Hedman and Erik Karlsson, Gustav Forsling and Adam Larson, Rasmus Dahlin and Rasmus Anderson, and then Hampus Lindholm is the extra with goaltenders Markstrom, Allmark, and Philip Gustafsson.
I don't think Hampus Lindholm would be an extra on the actual team. I think I put him in there over Adam Larson and Rasmus Anderson.
Really? I was looking, when I was going through these rosters, I saw nothing but Larson and Anderson and with Lindholm.
I think Lindholm
I
will
went
play.
through at one point I was going through rosters. I needed to find an extra, and I went to Boston. I was like, Hampus Lindholm could be it.
I think he'll be on the team definitely. Do you think they take the 2 young guys in Eklund and Carlson, and Leo Carlson?
I think they could. I think it honestly just depends. Maybe they're gonna want somebody a little bit older and more experienced, and that's
well, you have to
fine.
think of it in a way too. It's kind of a preview for the Olympics.
Mm-hmm.
They're getting an idea of who they want on their Olympic team. I mean, obviously things could change, but I wouldn't expect these rosters to be too far fetched from who would be on the Olympic team.
I mean, I don't blame you. All right, and last but not least, Finland. So, we have Alexander Barkov, Mikko Rantanen, Sebastian Aho, Esa Lindell, Miro Heiskanen, and UC Saros. Those are the 6 players named already. I have Roope Hintz, Alexander Barkov, and Mikko Rantanen. Then Arturi Lehkonen, Sebastian Aho, and Tara Vinen. And then Matthias Maselli, Mikael Granlund, and Eli Tolvanen. And then Eric Halla, Anton Lundell, and then Eetu Luostarinen. And then Jesper Kakiniemi is the extra. Jesperi, excuse me. Sorry. And then defensively wise, Esa Lindell with Miro Heiskanen, Nico Mikkola with Henry Jokiharju, and Juuso Välimäki with Hani Hakanpää with Rasmus Ristolainen as the extra.
I do not like that
goaltenders.
defense.
UC Saros, Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen, and Jonas Korpisalo.
So let me ask you: are there only 7 Finnish defensemen in the NHL?
Fucking apparently, dude. Okay, so but I wasn't going off the top of my head, and I didn't go through each individual roster. So I'm going through.
I find it hard to see Yoki Haru and Risto on the team.
You can look it up, dude.
I don't even know who Yanni Hakapara. I don't know who that is.
He's a Stars defenseman.
I've never heard of him before.
Okay, so I was going through projected lines. I swear to God. Okay, I went to Daily Faceoff. That was the most recent one, June 28th. I went through NHL.com. I swear to God, Hakanpää, Yoki Haru, and Ristolainen were on every single one of them.
Well, that's a bad. I don't like that decor.
I don't know. Like I would have to go through every single roster and look through Finnish defensemen. But yeah. I don't. I mean, UC Saros is back there, so he'll say.
It's like, fuck it, we got a goalie. Fuck it, I'll play defense. I'm Finnish, right? I mean, I think for the most part these rosters are fine. I think a lot of them are pretty obvious. There might be a few surprises here and there. Maybe some veterans decide they don't want to play. They'd rather just take the time out. I am disappointed this is only 4 nations. I think a lot of other countries, have really great hockey programs. I get there's a lot of issues going on in the world that might prevent like a team like Russia from being able to participate in an event like this. But I think a Russian team would be really good. But I'll leave it at that. But I'm really looking forward to this event. It's going to be really fun to finally see NHL players competing internationally again. And I mean, they've been in the World Championships for years, but
that's not the same.
How many players of note really go over there? But to have like all the superstars coming together for international teams, I'm really excited for this, and I'm very excited for the 2026 Olympics.
I'm not going to speak on anything bad. I think he's a great talent. This dude is fucking entitled. I have never seen more of a pro sports player be entitled. He is demanding. If he gets signed by
he's definitely not the most entitled player to ever play a sport.
Okay, I was being a little bit over dramatic, but him asking to get power play minutes and top 6 minutes and guarantee himself to be in the NHL, and he will not sign if he spends a single second in the AHL is kind of much. Like, I get the whole maybe NHL thing, but demanding top 6 minutes and power play minutes right out the gate is ridiculous. And on top of it, being in the AHL would do wonders. They do wonders for players' development. Like, get the fuck out of here.
I mean, I think it is kind of bold to demand that. Now, it'd be one thing if he was just saying that to the Jets, to try to say, trade me. But if what you're saying is true and he's also telling that to other teams that might be interested in trading to him, I don't think any team would feel comfortable trading for him.
There's been multiple teams that have been interested but pulled back because of this, which I think is ridiculous.
Because for a rookie to demand top 6 minutes and power play time, I think is kind of ridiculous. I mean, you're not even going to see like Connor Bedard doing something like that, You have to earn what you're given. Even if you're a top prospect, you're a first-round pick, nothing is given. You have to earn every little bit of respect, especially if you come into a locker room. The Jets have a pretty veteran team. I don't think that would sit well with the veterans on that team. No, I don't think they'd put up with it, and I think he'd learn really quickly that he can't have that kind of attitude in the NHL.
At this point, with this attitude already going on, if I'm him, I don't sign with the Jets. I would not be able to walk into this locker room and hold my head high and be like, I'm the man. Adam Lowry and Mark Scheifele are going to go right to that motherfucker and be like, you cut this shit out or fuck. Like, it's going to have to be set straight.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he'll ever play a game for the Jets.
No, he won't. So he doesn't have to worry about it.
I don't think he has to worry about it. But until he has an attitude change, I don't see a team really, trading for his contract rights because I'm sure the Jets want a decent return for it. He was a first-round pick,
I'm sorry, man. Like, unless the team's that desperate, like, he has a couple more years until he hits free agency. If he doesn't sign with the team, whatever. He's gonna be in it for a rude awakening when he's 24, almost about to be 25, and no team wants to sign him if he still has this fucking attitude. Unless the team's that desperate.
I mean, it's one thing to be playing on a team for a few years and you're just getting buried for no reason. Like
if Capo Caco did this.
Yeah, but he's not. He actually stayed with the Rangers. He decided to sign an extension. But, you think you have more to give and you're not being given an opportunity to show what you can do. Like, you're just always in the doghouse. You're playing 4 or 5 minutes. Even if you're a top end pick, he's like, Coach, like, I want to show you what I can do, but I'm playing with fourth line grinders. You're not giving me a chance to, like, showcase my talents.
Exactly.
And that hasn't happened yet. He has not played any professional hockey. He's playing in college,
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
So he hasn't played any professional hockey, not even an AHL game. Like, they have to see what they got. You got to go in a preseason game, see how you play in a real game. You know, you can't just have 0 minutes played in the AHL or the NHL and just demand, like, I want to be in the top 6. I want to be in the power play. I think that's just asking for way too much. And I think if that kid thinks he can get into the NHL with that kind of mentality, he's going to be in for a rude ranking and not a very long career.
Before we end here, blind ranking current prospects, or do you want to do players like rookies coming into the season that we know are going to? Because, like, I know you said before we started recording about prospects, about can't really throw Celebrini in there because
I mean, technically he's a prospect right now, but I feel like once he's gotten his feet, when he's played a few games, I wouldn't consider him a prospect anymore.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay. So I mean, do you want me to keep him out, or do you want me to go straight to like rookies this season?
I would do rookies this season.
Okay. I think it's easier to do it based on how we think they'll play this season. Do you want to simplify it and do that?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, cool. So number 1, I'm going to throw out a curveball. Nah, I'm not going to do that. Will Smith.
That's a solid 3 for me.
Okay. We'll do Lane Hudson.
5, I've never heard of him.
You haven't really?
No.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Who does he play for?
Montreal. He's like their top defensive prospect. He played a few games last season for them. Okay. All right. That's fair. Logan Stankoven.
I see. I really don't consider him a rookie.
But
if you're gonna give it to me,
I mean, I can
based
somebody else.
on what he'll do this year, he'll probably be 2 because I think he'll be an important player in Dallas.
I really want to throw both of these players in here.
Go for it.
Okay, first
I know what you're gonna say.
Going to be Matvei Michkov.
Yeah, I'll have to put him at 4 because I know who's not going to be number 1.
Macklin Celebrini.
Yeah, number 1. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, that list was pretty good. I mean, if like number 3, if you put that to 4 and then throw Michkov 3 and Stankoven 2, or vice versa,
I would
like,
put
it's
Michkov
perfect.
2.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. Anyways, so that's gonna end it for today's episode. If you guys are on YouTube, thank you guys for staying till the end. Subscribe, notification bell for more content, and Spotify and Apple. Thank you guys for listening. Head over to YouTube for more exclusive content. We'll see you guys next week in our next episode.